Tommy T here. I hope you're having the best day ever. We are reading Napoleon Hill's Magic Ladder to Success. I've got it in a binding here. Revised and updated by Patricia G. Horan, read by Tommy T. Lesson 7 of the 17 Principles of the Law of Success philosophy, which Napoleon Hill started, right? Lesson 7 is enthusiasm. Look at that. I am excited to read this chapter because I'm excited to read every chapter each day. I am excited that you're here. If you haven't listened to the first one or the previous one, start from the beginning if you want. If you haven't, listen to the next one afterwards, read the next one or listen to it, right? But what we are here for is to let you know that Napoleon Hill always says this. In the beginning of the book, it says it right at the beginning and at the end. The main reason is to bring you thought impulses that will help you escalate, elevate, get higher, do better, get your projects, come up with better thinking ideas. So have a pen or pencil ready with some paper. That's what he says. Pencil and paper. Write down an idea. If we're listening to this, just pause it if an idea comes to mind. Sometimes I'm meditating and sometimes I'm I'll remember this, and other times I just tap something out on the computer and then get back to my meditation. I don't know. Depends how you meditate, I have active meditation. Just do what you got to do. But from now, we are reading enthusiasm. And the main thing I am saying here to there, from this mastermind we're having from the past to the future, in this present moment we have, is I hope you have the best ideas come to mind. Give it a pause and write it. Read the next one or listen to the next one. Go from the beginning if you haven't watched the whole thing. Because truly, it's about mutual benefit here. And about you getting some good ideas. Appreciate you. Lesson 7, enthusiasm. The true meaning of enthusiasm gives this quality an importance that far surpasses the cheerleading attitude that the word too often brings to mind. Rooted in the Greek, it means inspired and contains no less than the word for the Creator. Those who come by it naturally are fortunate indeed. Inspired, like breathing in, right? And the word of the Creator, that's interesting, huh? Breath. Maybe the Holy Spirit? It seems more than a mere coincidence that the most successful people in all walks of life, and particularly in the area of sales, are the enthusiastic type. Enthusiasm is a driving force that not only gives greater power to the one who has it, but also is contagious and affects all whom it reaches. Enthusiasm over the work in which one is engaged takes the drudgery out of that work. It has been observed that even laborers engaged in the toilsome job of ditch digging can take the drabness out of their work by singing as they work. When the Yanks went into action during World War I, they went in singing and full of enthusiasm. This was too much for the war-worn soldiers who had been in the field long enough to wear off their enthusiasm, and they made a poor match indeed for the Yanks. At the turn of the century, the Filene's department store in Boston was opened with music furnished by the store band every morning during the summer months. The salespeople danced to the music, and when the doors were finally opened for business, the patrons of the store met a jolly crowd of enthusiastic, cheerful, smiling salespeople, many of whom still hummed the tune to which they had been dancing a few minutes before. This spirit of enthusiasm remained with the salespeople throughout the day, lightening their work and their customers. These days, the muzak piped into stores is carefully chosen to have the same effect. M-U-Z-A-K. Muzak. I've heard that before. During the same period, it was found that by introducing music with the aid of bands, orchestras, and so on into the plants where war materials were being made, production was stimulated. In some instances, as much as 50% above normal. Moreover, it was discovered that the workers not only turned out much more work during the day, but they came to the end of the day without fatigue as well, many of them whistling or singing on their way home. Enthusiasm gives greater power to one's efforts, no matter what sort of work one may be engaged in. It's interesting, they're talking about enthusiasm in music. I used to do some gig work, and we used to sell some tequila, and one of the brands, it came with the same exact recipe, and all they did is they piped in, I forgot if it was Beethoven or which classical music they piped in, but it won more awards, like in blind test studies. And if you look at Masaru Emoto's True Power of Water, the things that you say to water, which we're 80% of usually, water receives information. But it just projects itself throughout everything. We already talked about the ether in chapter 1, So what you say goes. So the enthusiasm you carry is awesome. And enthusiasm is simply a high rate of mental vibration. The starting point of enthusiasm is motive or well-defined desire. Elsewhere in this book may be found a complete... I'm going to read that again. Enthusiasm is simply a high rate of mental vibration. The starting point of enthusiasm is motive or well-defined desire. You must have a well-defined desire. Elsewhere in this book may be found a complete list of the mind stimulants that will superinduce the state of mind known as enthusiasm, the greatest of which is sexual desire. People who do not feel a strong desire for sexual contact are seldom, if ever, capable of becoming highly enthusiastic over anything. Transmutation of the great driving force of sex desire is the basis of practically all the works of genius. By transmutation is meant the switching of thought from sexual contact to any other form of physical action. Transmute it, right? The importance of enthusiasm as one of the 17 essentials of the law of success is explained in the chapter on the mastermind. That's the first one. Go back to the beginning. The strange phenomenon felt by those who coordinate their efforts in a spirit of harmony for the purpose of availing themselves of the mastermind principle is felt as the high rate of mental vibration known as enthusiasm. It is a well-known fact that people succeed most readily when engaged in the occupation they like best, and this for the reason that they readily become enthusiastic over that which they like best. Enthusiasm is also the basis of creative imagination. When the mind is vibrating at a high rate, it is receptive to similar high rates of vibration from outside sources, thus providing a favorable condition for creative imagination. It will be observed that enthusiasm plays an important part in 4 of the other principles constituting the law of success philosophy, namely the mastermind, imagination, accurate thought, and pleasing personality. Enthusiasm, to be of value, must be controlled and directed to definite ends. Uncontrolled enthusiasm may be and generally is destructive. The acts of so-called bad boys are nothing more or less than uncontrolled enthusiasm. The wasted energy of uncontrolled enthusiasm expressed by the majority of young men through promiscuous sexual contact and sexual desire, not expressed through contact, is sufficient to lift them to high achievement if only this urge were harnessed and transformed. The next chapter, on self-control, appropriately follows the subject of enthusiasm, as much self-control is necessary in the next chapter on self-control appropriately follows the subject of enthusiasm, as much self-control is necessary in the mastery of enthusiasm. There you go. Next one's a short one too, but what I wanted to tell you right here was because it was talking about inspiration. And that's what is the Greek root word to enthusiasm. And inspire even is, it has the creator's name in it, right? And I have this breathwork community. Actually, that's the foundation of it. It's kind of, it's called Just Add Magic. And it's about, different things that can add magic into your life and others really easily. But ultimately, the easiest way to do, and what we teach is, trying to create epiphanies in the body based on these different breathworks that we use. So I highly recommend you jumping in for at least a week and learn what you got to do, to help you inspire more things into yourself that are really good. I appreciate you. Move on to the next book. Looking forward to connecting. Peace out.